I mean, obviously.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. We're jamming out. Rafael Fiziev is jamming out right now after picking up his 6th straight win and the biggest victory of his career. He closes the show in the opening seconds of round number 5. Stops former champion Rafael dos Anjos. And Rafael Fiziev is officially a player, ladies and gentlemen, in the loaded UFC lightweight division. Welcome to the UFC Vegas 58 post-fight show here on MMAfighting.com. I am Mike Heck. Thank you for joining us. We got Jed, we got Jose, we get EKC on the 1s and 2s. There he is. Let's get right into this, Jed Meshew, because...
Let's get into it.
Yes. Rafael Fiziev, what a performance. Tremendous job. I had it 3-1 heading into the 5th round. A lot of people on Twitter, a lot of people thought Fiziev was fading heading into that 5th round, and RDA had an opening to maybe finish the fight and maybe steal this one. Fiziev was like, I'm not doing that, and just bolts RDA 18 seconds into round number 5 and gets it done. So your thoughts on Fiziev's performance? Were you surprised that this fight played out the way that it did?
I was. I mean, we talked beforehand. I was picking RDA. And RDA largely got to do a bunch of the stuff he wanted to do, but he couldn't secure the takedowns. And I do feel a little bit like maybe he got too wrapped up in doing that grind because he was not winning the striking exchanges by any measure, but he was having success. And I think had he been more comfortable engaging in more protracted periods there, might have set up better openings for takedowns, which is kind of what I thought would happen. And instead, he was really focused on getting to the body, kind of roughing him up in the clinch. But Fiziev impressed the hell out of me, man. I thought this kid was good. Thought he, was going to be kind of a guy in the top 10 for the next few years, just hanging around. But I'm excited to see where he can go because that his ability, RDA is not the greatest wrestler in the sport or at the division, but his ability to early on, he had a little bit of trouble disengaging from clinches, like maybe in that first round when RDA was at his most fresh, but he was giving no quarter anywhere. So it was RDA would get the clinch, Fiziev would, fight the hands, make sure he didn't get taken down, and then he'd clear out and break. Consistently circled off the cage, found his opportunities. And that's great because some of the other young killers coming up in this division, Tush Gamrot, Arman Sarukian, he's going to need to be able to do that. And if he can, those fights become really interesting. So incredible performance from him. Really impressed. It looked a lot like I thought it would, only with Fiziev being way, way better than I thought he was, frankly.
Yeah, I think we all sort of knew how good Fiziev's takedown defense was. We had an idea that he had good takedown defense, good wrestling defense. We were wondering what would happen if he ended up on his back. His takedown defense is even better than I thought it was, Jose. What did you think of Fiziev's performance overall and just the way he came out in that 5th round and closed the show when a lot of people watching the fight thought he was starting to sort of fizzle out heading into that 5th round?
Does Fiziev have good takedown defense? I don't think they talked about that once on the broadcast. Yeah, I mean, I said we'd probably. I think in the preview show, I didn't think even Casey said it on the Slack in our Slack channel. I know I said within the first round and a half, we'd probably have an idea of who was going to win this fight, and it pretty much played out like that. In that first round, it seems like RDA was trying to implement his game plan, and Fiziev just wasn't allowing him to, but he wasn't putting a ton of offense in. He was clearly winning the stand-up. He was clearly hitting harder, but it's not like he was, rattling RDA in there. He was just winning the fight, which obviously at the end of the day is the most important thing. Yes, they are prize fighters. You want to win exciting, but win is a win. You get the second half of your paycheck. So he was clearly winning the fight. I just don't think he was I don't know how to phrase this, but he was just being annoying to RDA until he turned his lights out. So within the first round and a half, that's pretty much how the fight was playing. And then that's how the rest of the fight played out until he kind of landed that fastball to the jaw of RDA. So super impressed with Rafael Fiziev. Sorry, Danny. I know I always say Rafael, and then you text me complaining about it. I know you're going to watch this, so I apologize. And then, Fiziev, he's so good on his when standing up. He just reminds me, like, you can tell the guys that have trained at Tiger, like the Dan Hookers, the Volkanovski, the Petr Yans, they all have that similar style of striking where they hit really fast, really hard, and it's usually like one kick and then a follow-up punch, and then you're rattled, and then they swarm. And that's just Fiziev's bread and butter right there. So super impressive performance, especially at the end, because one of the big questions we had was, could he go 5 rounds? And not only did he go 5 rounds, did he not go 5 rounds? He ended the fight in the 5th round. So the fact that he has finishing power in the championship rounds is super impressive. My other question about RDA was, how can he perform against an opponent that has a full training camp, because his last 2 opponents didn't have full training camps to prepare for him. Rafael Fiziev has essentially had 2 training camps to get ready for Rafael dos Anjos, and his game plan worked to perfection because he knocked him out in the 5th round. So yeah, lightweight has a new intriguing, scary boogeyman in the top 10. That's for sure.
Yeah, Fiziev is a tank too. I didn't really realize how much of a tank he was until I actually saw him in the octagon with RDA when they faced off before the fight actually started. I'm like, damn, he might be a little bit shorter than RDA, but that man is built like a tank. He just that lower center of gravity helped him so much in this fight. And it was almost like, I'm not gonna say he took the 4th round off, but he kind of cruised a little bit in that 4th round. And yeah, maybe he was getting a little bit tired, but you could tell it was full gas in that 5th and just put RDA away. It was an incredible performance. Well done by Rafael Fiziev. Jed, Fiziev's just a fun dude. He's not the call-out type. He's not the guy that's going to get on the mic and cut a Nate Diaz-esque promo. Always calls out.
Nadal's about to get it. Yeah. Rafael Nadal's about to get it. That man's got a torn ab.
I mean, Rafael Nadal is also, he's injured, dog. So calling out an injured tennis player is just fitting for this card, right?
Who did he call? He called out someone really interesting.
He called out Vince Vaughn. He called out Hasbulla, and now he's called out Rafael Nadal. The man calls his shot, but don't call out injured tennis players.
They're all shook. They don't want that smoke, and I wouldn't want it either.
Should he have thrown a name out there, Jed? Or is that just would it just not be believable for him?
It's just way more fun that this is his gimmick, because it's a substantially more interesting way to do it. Because who cares? Let's all just be honest. No one watched this card. No one's gonna remember this card. He could have called out anyone. It doesn't matter. This card was hard. This was a hard one for anyone who stayed the whole time. And so, honestly, the thing I will remember most is him being like, we have definitively established who the best Rafael is in the UFC. Now I want Nadal, because that's just weird, and I at least recognize weird is fun and different.
So where do we go from here, Jed? Fiziev's obviously got a pretty big fight coming up. How big do we get? I mean, do we go Gamrot here? Do we go a little higher than that? Do we think about a Gaethje or a Poirier type, perhaps? What are we thinking for Fiziev moving forward in this division that's just kind of weird, kind of logjam, because we don't have an actual champion right now? It's very interesting in that respect, but what does this win do for Fiziev in terms of getting closer to the belt? What do you see could be next for him?
They're probably going to do Gamrot, which is fine. It'd be cool if the old guys at the top of lightweight would stop fighting each other and just actually fight some of the new people and hold their positions down. That'd be dope, because I would love to watch Fiziev fight Dustin Poirier or Justin Gaethje instead of Gaethje and Poirier and Chandler just all round robining each other forever. But yeah, he's probably going to get Gamrot, which is a good fight in a very different way. I mean, I'll be psyched to watch that fight, but it will be disappointing that fight will happen and won't be a title eliminator, because it feels like it should be, because those dudes are the next dudes. Like the next 5 years of lightweight, those guys are the guys who are at it. We're just in this transition period where Dustin Poirier is still a top 5 guy. Tony Ferguson, for the love of God, is a top 10 fighter according to the UFC. And honestly, maybe even our rankings. I don't know. You guys are kind of insane on Tony. But it's just, it would be a lot cooler if those two were fighting for a title shot, because that feels more true to where this division is and where this division's going, even if maybe at this exact moment that might not be where the division is.
Yeah, there are options here for sure. Jose, what are we thinking for Fiziev? Do you like the Gamrot idea? I mean, we have to. There's it's just a wild card. It's a throw of the dart right now because we don't know what's going to happen with Oliveira. We don't know if it's going to be Makhachev. We assume that's where they're going, but maybe they go a different direction. There's Conor out there still. There's Chandler. There's all these other names, but it's almost like we have to wait and see what the title fight actually is. Dariush is another guy. Like, where do we go with Fiziev? Like, if you had the magic pencil, how are we doing this?
Well, we're not going to pretend that Nate Diaz and Conor McGregor are relevant to this conversation. We're going to pretend we're going to live in this magical world where fighters are just going to accept the fights that I assign them. So Charles can fight Islam. Dustin can fight Michael Chandler because apparently they hate each other. Beneil Dariush can now fight Fiziev because they're going to be ranked probably right next to each other. I don't want, because as Jed said, all these cats are just not fighting. They're just, they're not fighting the younger generation, this new generation. So why do we want to make the new generation fight each other and then knock each other off? I know the Arman Gamrot fight ruled, and that fight happens when it happened, and I'm not complaining, but so then Gamrot should fight Gaethje, and then Arman should fight, like a Tony Ferguson, Gregor Gillespie type guy. Brad Riddell is still there. Jalen Turner just kind of catapulted himself into the top 15, top 10. So all of those guys can fight one another, and we're not going to entertain the Nate Diaz, Conor McGregors of the world until they actually have a fight. I know Nate Diaz wants to fight on July 30th. That'll probably be a welterweight. He'll probably also it definitely won't even happen on July 30th. It'll probably happen further down, like if ever, and it'll be a welterweight. So I don't want him fighting a lightweight at welterweight. I want lightweights to fight at lightweight because, as we all know at MMAfighting.com, lightweight is the best division in mixed martial arts. Bantamweight is the number 2. Welterweight probably number 3. So all those cats can fight one another. Sean Shelby, you're welcome.
Listen, there's nothing wrong with any of those suggestions right there. Nate is not in this conversation at all because he's not a lightweight anymore. He's fighting at 170. And yes, he might fight July 30th, but it'll be July 30th, 2023, more than likely, or whenever Conor's ready to come back. And that doesn't matter here. Let's play the bonus game, gentlemen. Like Jed said, this was a long.
Can't be hard. The 2 performances that get bonuses, man. This can't be hard.
Yeah, I mean, Michael Johnson, Jamie Mullarkey has to be the fight of the night, right? There's no.
I would imagine.
Yeah,
probably. I don't know. They were really excited about the heavyweight fight for whatever damn reason.
They really were. They really were.
I would probably. I'm gonna say.
Oh, we got bonuses.
Let me guess. How many are there?
2 performances, 1 fight of the night.
So fight of the night, obviously Mullarkey Johnson, correct?
I'm gonna agree with that.
I'm going to say Fiziev gets 1.
I agree with that.
I'm going to say Cody Brundage gets the other.
I also agree
He probably should have, but he didn't.
Are you kidding? They gave it to Chase Sherman. Those absolute monsters, they gave it to Chase Sherman. I made money on Chase Sherman, and that is an insane choice.
I said that if this fight, I told New York Rick, because I was like, do you think that these 2 heavyweights will have a combined more total strikes landed than Ricky Tercios, which I think was a valid question because Ricky Tercios had 20
they blew that out of the water.
I know, but heavyweights, you never know. They could just, not connect and then land 1 and then they die.
Yeah, first one goes
and
down.
then I slacked him. I go, if this fight goes 15 minutes, I'll drink battery acid. And then after 2.5 rounds, I was like, my God. This might happen. And then Chase Sherman remembered he's a former bare knuckle boxing champion and punched Jared Vanderas a lot in the face and stopped it.
I was so close to cashing by decision bets. I was watching the whole fight. I was like, this is exactly what I thought it would be. And it's every bit as bad as I envisioned it could be.
This was a reward for Chase Sherman. This was hey, you got to keep your job. Plus you said yes to fighting Alexander Romanov. on short notice, not once but twice. So here you go. Here's 50 G's. Congratulations to Chase Sherman. So great night for Rafael Fiziev. Man, I'm excited this fight's over because we don't have to mess up those names any longer, and we don't get the Danny Rube texts about no, it's not Rafael, it's Rafael. Caio Borralho.
Now we have a Ralph
Caio
dos Anjos.
Borralho. Yep. Fine. I mean, he won, so there you go. He calls out Dricus du Plessis. Just not going to happen. Sorry.
That would have been an okay call out if that fight wasn't what it was. Like, that wouldn't have been a bad call out if it wasn't a snoozer.
Yeah. Said Nurmagomedov, that was a fun fight with Douglas Silva de Andrade, gets the win. Chase Sherman, Jared Vanderaa did Chase Sherman, Jared Vanderaa things. Eamon Zahabi's got himself a win streak going on against Ricky Tercios, who threw very little and landed way less. Just not the type of performance a lot of people expected out of the Ultimate Fighter champion. Jamie Mullarkey and Michael Johnson had themselves a scrap and a half. It was everything we hoped for and more. There was some controversy with the judging, though, Jed. Listen, this is not a robbery by any stretch of the imagination. This is a close fight. Could have gone either way. I scored the first round for Michael Johnson. 2 judges disagreed with me, but it was just a great fight. It's one of those things where it's just like, damn, like I wish Michael Johnson just got a flat fee to fight and we didn't have to worry about win bonuses and show money because he deserves everything after a fight like that. It would be way cooler. We wouldn't even be having these conversations right now, but I'm not going to say robbery, but was Johnson hosed? Do you think he was hosed a little bit tonight?
So we were talking about this off air when the fight was happening. I missed most of the first round because my dog was trying to poo in the house and I didn't want that to happen for obvious reasons. So I had to go take care of that because nature calls for animals when it does. It's how that works. So I can't speak confidently to whether he was hosed because I don't know enough about what happened in the first round. I will say it seemed like most people felt that Michael Johnson won that fight, but I'll have to watch it to be confident in my assessment. But to your other point, I'll keep this very brief. If there's ever been an argument, and there have been plenty of them, but this is like the poster child of an event for why win bonuses are stupid. Because a lot of these fights just sucked. And it's way cooler to have everyone pay a flat fee and pay a finish bonus because that will incentivize better outcomes for you as a promotion. Because, like, I don't know, Caio Borralho backpacking a dude for 10 minutes is dominant, but, like, it would have been cool if he tried to do anything other than the same 2 setups to get that RNC that clearly wasn't ever going to work. That would have been more interesting. He was like, this isn't going to work, and I'd like to make an extra 50 grand, so I should try a different way to defeat my opponent instead of being like, win bonus, baby. I just sit here as a human backpack, and I will get 2 paychecks. Let's get away from that because Michael Johnson does deserve to get a flat fee. Like, that is just how things should work in this day and age.
Well said. Well said. Jose, did you watch the entirety of that fight? And if so, do you feel like, I don't think robbery is the right word, but I think the step below is like hosed. Yeah, look at that. I mean, most people scored it for Johnson, and I am going to go back. The 29-27 is crazy. That's just I respect Sean and the way he's dove into scoring in the criteria, but I think he gave a 10-8 to Mullarkey in the second, which I just don't see. It was a clear round for Mullarkey, but 3 was a clear round for Johnson, and I thought 1 was a clear round for Johnson. But I have to go back and watch it. A lot of people are saying there was a knockdown in that first round from Mullarkey, although it was not scored a knockdown. Johnson was certainly wobbled in the moment, but Johnson had a legit straight knockdown. So I don't know, man. How did you feel about it?
Yeah, I scored 2 rounds to 1 for Michael Johnson, and when I was doing Twitter reacts for the site, it seems like I would say like a lot of obviously Jamie Mullarkey's from that part of the world. It's like the Volkanovskis and like the Brad Riddells of the world. They were all like, oh, like Jamie Mullarkey pulled it off, this and that. Everyone else thought Michael Johnson was robbed to the point where Courtney Casey tweeted, I'm mad at my score. I'm mad at my decision. Michael Johnson should be livid. Like, those were her words, and they both fought on the same card, and they were both controversial. So his fellow fighters are very upset over the fact that he lost. And I actually did. I think I tweeted something like, I scored it for Michael Johnson, but I'm not going to be mad at you. You scored it for Jamie Mullarkey. It was a very close fight. I just had it 2-1 for Michael Johnson.
Yeah, it was a great fight. It was a great fight. Yeah, I was going to bring up the Courtney Casey thing. That was a great tweet by Courtney Casey. Yeah. Excellent tweet. Another split decision loss for Courtney Casey.
She can't be mad. Look, you ever heard the phrase, if you wake up in the morning and you meet an asshole, you met an asshole, but if you wake up in the morning and you keep running into assholes all day, you're the asshole? If you lose 5 split decisions, something that you're doing is wrong. Like, you're either the unluckiest person alive or you need to reevaluate what you're doing. And that is exactly how I feel about this. Because, like, when she tried hard, she won the fight. Like, she was winning the fight when she tried really hard. And the rest of the time, when she consented to a weird kickbox, like, not even kickboxing, just standing in kicking range when she wasn't kicking back, she lost the fight. But then when she was like, I don't care about this anymore, I'm just going to punch you in the friggin' face, she was blowing Anthony's doors off. This is on you, Courtney Casey. You can't be mad about that split D, because it's death taxes and split decisions for the losses for Courtney Casey. Like, that's it.
Yep. So, yeah, that and the Caitlin Chukagian by decision. Death taxes.
Two safest bets in MMA right there. Never let you down.
Yep. I felt like Courtney had a lot of success on the feet in that third round, and then she went for the takedown. I was like, you had her. I still thought she won the fight, but it is what it is. Good win for Cody Brundage. I was questioning the strategy from Cody Brundage. Like, he got the takedown, and then Tresean's like kicking him in the legs. I'm like, I know Cody's a tough dude, but I don't know if I love this strategy. And then he just goes up and bolts Tresean Gore. That was impressive. David Onama gets the arm triangle choke. Garrett Armfield showed up to scrap up a weight class. It was a good competitive first round, but it's just the size, the strength advantage for Onama was just way too much for him. Kennedy and Sachukwu just bulldozed poor Carl Roberson. That was I felt really bad for that guy today.
Carl Roberson would be a really good 195-pound fighter.
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And then a guy was
old. He was just so some friends are over at the lake house or whatever, and they were watching it with me, and they were like, well, that one man is so much bigger than that other man. I was like, I know. He's probably going to win this fight, not because of any like technical brilliance, but largely because he is an enormous human being and Carl Roberson is not. And his takedowns weren't like the most unbelievable entries. It was just like, I'm bigger than you, fall over. And he he did the same. There was so much of this in this fight card where fighters just did a bad, like, maybe not a bad thing, but they did a thing that wasn't working and they just never stopped doing it. And Kennedy, for the first 2 rounds, was like, I'm going to continue trying the same RNC setup that is very clearly not working. And then the minute he was like, you know what, screw it, I'm just going to elbow you in the head, fight was over. Like, the whole time I was like, dude, just punch him, just hit him. All you do is hit him. He was like, oh, I'm just going to elbow him. Oh, we're done here. We're done now. Oh, so much of that on this fight card.
Yeah, wild. Kennedy was on one tonight for sure, and very impressed with Syed Yakub Hakhramonov tonight. That dude is a player at 135. That was an incredible performance against Ronnie Lawrence, who's a really good prospect, and he just sort of ran him over. Basically Ronnie Lawrence and did it way better. That was really impressive stuff. So for Syed Yakub Hakhramonov, another interesting name at 135 pounds. So, all right. Shall we go to the peeps? Am I frozen? There we go.
No, yeah.
Internet stinks.
You're
all right.
Frozen.
Let's go to the peeps, Casey.
All right.
Let's go to the peeps. Gentlemen. I think you can hear me, and that's good.
Ask us fun questions, peeps.
Yeah.
We talk about all the
broadcast. If anyone says Rafael dos Anjos, it is now for the rest of eternity, Ralph. Dos
Ralph
Anjos.
Dos
Dos
Anjos.
Anjos.
I'm gonna write that in our stories and let's see how long I can
Change
get
the
away with
SEO,
that.
headlines, everything. It's Ralph Dos Anjos. All right. Who do we got here? Oops. Hold on a second. Too small.
Can we call it quits on Baralio main card fights, let alone co-main event? Yeah, I have a hard time believing Baralio's going to be fighting in a co-main event for his next fight. But
You
I
say
don't.
that.
There was no reason for him to be in the co-main event either of these other two times. They just did it. They're gonna do it again. Dare them. They'll do it. See if they care.
Okay. We have a lot of questions about Michael Johnson. We kind of talked about that. I thought Michael Johnson won. Also, how about this? Oh well, yeah, we kind of talked about this already too. But
I don't think so. But
yeah, did Antonina Shevchenko actually beat Courtney Casey? In my point, Antonina got lucky because of her last name. I don't think that had much to do with it, if we're being honest. If her name was Antonina Jones, I still think she wins.
I think there's a chance Antonina Jones might have been released a while back, but that's not why she won tonight.
Yeah,
that's true.
Yeah, why she won tonight is because I think everything Jed said earlier.
Courtney Casey just stood there and got kicked for so long. There was so much of people doing a thing that wasn't working and just being like, "Yep, this is what I want to do. This is where I'd like to be right now."
You know, actually, there might be a little truth to this question because maybe Courtney Casey actually just because of the name. If it was Antonio Jones she was fighting, maybe she wouldn't have been so hesitant. I don't know, but because she has that name, that Courtney Casey is a better fighter than that tonight. But that's what showed up.
Awful for a lot of that fight.
Yeah,
but also sometimes Courtney Casey just looks awful. That kind of is just who she is as a fighter. Yeah. She's maddening because she clearly has more talent than she ever executes in the cage for the most part.
Yeah, and I think that's why she's still in the UFC. Honestly, even though she's 10-10 right now. Do you think? Oh God, she's 10-10. Jeez.
That's not. That doesn't happen a lot.
Yeah.
and you still be employed. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah. You know what? We didn't talk about this from our good friend Sheila.
Hey, Sheila.
Oh, no.
I thought RDA Fiziev was a very early stoppage. Do you think Mark Smith ended up doing it because of how late he stopped Vandera Sherman, or did you think it was a perfect stoppage? I thought it was a fine stoppage.
I didn't think there was an issue with Vandera Sherman either. So just for the record, he jumped in as soon as Vandera functionally quit and just sat down and was like, "All right, we're done here," which I think was fine. But no. When it first happened, I thought it was I was like, "Oh, that seems weird." And then when you see that replay and the deadbolt Fiziev fires into him, like, "Oh yeah, we're good here." That was done well.
Yeah, it was definitely one of those. Once you saw the replay, we were all like, "Oh, okay, I get it." Yeah. One of those. Yeah, but thank you for the question, Sheila.
Yes. What else we got? Who's next for RDA? I'd be okay with that fight.
Nope.
Conor McGregor, baby.
Conor McGregor. It finally makes sense.
You think it? Is
that
what we want, or is that going to happen?
That's what I want.
I think it could be both. There's a world where they give Conor the title fight.
Yeah, there is a world. If Charles Oliveira fights Islam Makhachev in Abu Dhabi and beats him for the vacant title, because let's not have Charles fight Conor for the vacant title, because then Charles doesn't get pay-per-view points because he's not a reigning champion. If Charles beats Islam, if he goes to Abu Dhabi and does you a favor and fights Islam in the Middle East and wins, and he goes, you know what, I want to fight Conor on that rumored January card in Brazil, just do it. Conor wants to fight in Brazil. Charles has pretty much beaten everyone in the top 5, and he would have beaten Islam in Abu Dhabi in a place no one wants to go fight. What are they going to say? No, just do it. So if that's not the case, then Conor RDA is a perfectly fine fight. They were supposed to fight once before at lightweight. Why not make it again at welterweight? They have history there. The beef's there. Like I said in the previous show, Conor has all these fingers in these weird feuds that just are irrelevant, but the sizzle is there for a fight. So I think that's the fight to make. Plus, they're using a lot of champions in a very short amount of time. And every time they do that, they have to cancel a pay-per-view because they don't have anyone to headline. Conor RDA can headline a pay-per-view.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Fully with Jose on this. My only question is, I mean, I know Conor would take the fight, but I still think Conor loses that fight.
Sure,
I still
that's
think it's
if they
still
book
is
it,
a tough fight for him still.
I would favor RDA for sure. But I still want to watch that fight. I was interested in the fight the
Yeah.
first time they booked it. I was really bummed out that fight fell out. I mean, the Nate fight was awesome too, but I wanted to see Conor RDA.
I have a question for you, gentlemen. Is RDA how far past the championship version of RDA did we see tonight? Or has the lightweight division just gotten better?
I think it's a little combination
A
of
little
both.
I
think because it's hard to say because he was 2-0 at lightweight, but well, I guess one of those fights was a catchweight against Moicano. I think even his welterweight run was weird because he beat the brakes off of Robbie Lawler and then got pieced up by Colby Covington. And then he got smashed by Kamaru, but then he also tapped Neil Magny when Neil Magny was on that long run. Just RDA's had a strange career of ups and downs, but he only loses to the best and only beats the best.
Yeah, and it's not like go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say I think you can kind of pretty clearly see that he is not what he was physically at points in time. I mean, his conditioning was dude was not breathing hard at all after really tough 20 minutes of fighting, but you could see he is a little slower. He is relying more on timing of his strikes than on just being an athlete in there. Doesn't have as much pop.
These are the guys that RDA has lost to dating back to 2014. Fiziev, everyone thinks is a top 5 lightweight. Michael Chiesa is like a giant compared to RDA. Leon Edwards about to fight for the title. Kamaru Usman, pound for pound best. Colby Covington, the second best welterweight in the world. Tony Ferguson, when Tony Ferguson hadn't lost yet in Mexico in altitude. Eddie Alvarez, one of the 5 greatest lightweights ever, and then Khabib Nurmagomedov. If you make a list of the top 25 MMA fighters from the last 10 years, RDA has lost a chunk of those and beaten a huge chunk of those too. Because look, Pettis, Cowboy, Nate Diaz, Benson,
Pettis,
Lawler, Prime Pettis, like Felder, Kevin Lee,
Tarek Saffiedine.
Prime Tarek Saffiedine. The final
I forgot Tarek Saffiedine existed.
The final Strikeforce champion and one half of the first ever main event on UFC Fight Pass, Tarek Saffiedine, and RDA beat him.
Yeah. And here's the thing too, I agree with everything you're saying, but RDA, it's not like those first 3 rounds. I felt like RDA lost all 3 of those rounds.
Yeah.
But he was very competitive in the first. Yeah. I thought he was very competitive in the third. Second, I thought was I thought Fiziev won the first 3 rounds. Second was the clearest one, but he was very competitive in 1 and 3. It's not like he got run over in those rounds. These were you know what I mean? He was competitive in this fight until it was over.
Round 4.
He's an all-time great fighter. And
round 4 felt like the entire his fight versus Anthony Pettis. Round 4 tonight felt like, and that's what when the fight was going on, especially the first 2 rounds, I was like, oh, Fiziev feels like a better Anthony Pettis, or at least a stronger Anthony Pettis, in a sense. And I think RDA had the same game plan. It just wasn't working until the 4th round, and then unfortunately in the 5th round, unfortunately for him, Ralph got knocked out. But
Has anyone had a better UFC career that started 0-2 in the UFC than RDA?
Oh.
I mean, that's hard to think, but tough to imagine.
Jeremy Stevens broke his face in his UFC debut.
That
metal plate is still there.
That remains one of the funniest punches I've ever seen because it was a legitimate Mortal Kombat thrown from his ankle uppercut.
Yeah.
It was not like a clean tag. It was I'm gonna chuck this from here and just duking you into the ozone. It's unbelievable.
It's tough. So I don't even know who else has started 0-2 that's had that good of a career. That's still in the UFC.
You just have to find who has better careers than RDA, and there are maybe 15 people who have had better UFC careers than RDA. So, and I would strongly doubt any of them started 0-2.
Eddie won his second fight, right? I know he lost his first fight in the UFC. He won his second.
Eddie technically won his first 3 fights. He lost all of them and then got a title shot and then won.
Oh.
Well, He lost the first one to Cowboy, but then he beat who was it? Gilbert and Pettis, but they were like grindy split decisions against the fence. Yeah. Both splits, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
Yep. It's going to be hard to think of somebody who would have a better career than him and have started 0-2.
Like, I just looked it up. Like, Dustin Poirier has never lost 2 fights in a row. And RDA started 0-2 in the UFC. And they're both still just, like, breaking faces in the top 10 at lightweight.
Who have we seen come into the UFC and get just, not 2 losses in a row, but take just a horrible loss in their first fight and then come back to be an all-time great? Maybe Max Holloway. When he fought
Max won his first fight.
Oh, he did?
I believe.
That was
I think. Oh no, you're right. You are right. If I lost, yeah, he was like 3-0 or something.
Was his first fight Dustin though? Yeah, he was like 18 years old or something.
Yeah, he was 20. I think that was a late minute. That was a last minute fight.
He was late too. Late notice too.
RDA always had one of those like super interesting, weird careers because of that. It was just like for most of his career, and even. For being honest, like even when he was the lightweight champion, he wasn't the best lightweight in the world. Habib absolutely wrecked him, but then Habib was dead for 2 years, and so RDA just got the belt. But like during that whole time, everyone was like, "Cool, you're great. This is a feel good story." But like that dude over there obviously is better than you because he took you down 40 times. So he's had just a super fascinating career because he's certainly in the top 35 fighters in UFC history, if not top 25.
And people forget what a giant upset it was when he beat Pettis too. That wasn't he wasn't supposed
the
to
Pettis
beat
thing was insane.
Yeah,
not even a little bit supposed to beat Pettis.
Yeah.
Pettis was supposed to be the dude who finally like is going to consolidate and put together a real run, and it was like actually never mind. He beat Gilbert Melendez, and then
there's the Circle K. You guys know what Circle Ks are, Jed?
Yeah.
I do.
Convenience store.
So the Circle K down the street from me still has the Monster Energy drink promo with Anthony Pettis, Ronda, and Kane and their belts. I thought those 3 were never gonna lose at one point. They looked all unstoppable.
I mean, yeah, they all did too. It was just things move quickly, which is why I don't care. Not that I don't care, but why I don't want to see Alexander Volkanovski go up to lightweight because we thought a lot of people were unstoppable, and this is a sport where things move real fast, and I want to see guys like Arnold Allen get a shot at him. Did we answer what's next for RDA? Oh, yeah, we did Conor. I was going to say, did we even answer that question, Conor?
Ralph the disrespect.
That's his name.
Hey, listen.
That's not disrespect. A chance to fight for his name.
It's in the contract.
He didn't do what he needed to do.
Oh yeah,
it's still close.
Yeah, it was close.
Still close to the old man.
Well, the answer is already. I can't think of anyone that's had a better career that started 0-2 in the UFC.
Who's next? Who's next for RDA?
Conor.
I mean,
Conor's fine.
Yeah.
Conor. All right.
Connor's fine.
I would also like if Dustin Poirier would just fight a young dude who will beat him. That would be sick because like Mateusz Gamrot will just tackle him and run the hell out of him on the floor. That would be dope. And then we can finally stop having Poirier as like a top lightweight. We could do fun fights. And like I would love to watch Poirier RDA fight. That would be a great fight. Let's do that.
Yep.
But first DP needs to give up his ranking.
Yeah. If it's not Conor, unfortunately he might have to fight like Sarukian, which would just be awful for him. I think.
I mean, you can run back Tony Ferguson.
I like that.
I wouldn't hate that.
Mm-hmm.
That makes sense.
That's fine, except for that they're both highly ranked in the UFC, which is it's a different thing. Whatever.
All right. What we got next?
Take a couple more.
I need to get more from Jed about the heavyweight fight.
Oh yeah, I meant to say I meant to tee this up for you, Jed, because someone tweeted and they wanted to hear your take. I believe it was from Robert. Jed's heavyweight hot take corner. Go.
It was way more fun than that fight should have been. It was really not good. There were a lot of things that were not awesome to watch technically, but they were scrapping. It was fun. I just want to throw a shout out to my co-host. I forgot what you called him on the preview show, Jose, but it was funny as hell. Yeah, whatever that one is. Connor Burks, who on No Bets Bar this past week, almost put Jared Vander on a parlay, which is hilarious to me just to start. And then Mike, as we talked about in the preview show, the pre-fight show, apparently convinced you and some other people that Vander by decision or by submission was a great bet.
Well, here's the problem when you get advice from a guy who's been watching MMA for a year. Don't do that.
Look, my only issue, because all of his logic was mostly sound, but it hinged on the piece, and he admitted himself that I'm anticipating that, BJJ black belt Jared Vanderaa is going to have good fight IQ and take Chase Sherman down, submit him.
Mm-hmm.
And as I pointed out on No Bets Bar, and we'll do so again, you are banking on the fight IQ of a man who willingly grappled with Alexei Oleinik after hurting him on the feet. So, and as we saw, 0 takedown attempts.
Mm-hmm.
Just ended up getting, competitive on the feet until he got deaded. So, yeah. Let's never watch that fight again. That's my take. I hope
the UFC keeps him around because I really enjoy his ring announcement. He does a little wave. I appreciate that.
I don't dislike the
Vandera.
dude, but it's just like,
oh, I get it. I know.
Like, what are we doing? Just 0-3 and 0-4 heavyweights. Like, what are we doing?
At near top of the card too.
You know what's fun about Jared Vanderaa though is he looks completely different every time he fights. He's either got long hair and a long beard, or he's got a shaved head and no beard. Like he just looks like a different person every time he fights.
Keeps you on your toes.
It's pretty funny. But Chase Sherman should fight Chris Barnett. That is absolutely the fight to make. There's no other fight to make.
If Chris Barnett's ready to come back, did have a tragedy in the family.
He said it.
No, I know that. And listen, Chase took a little bit of a beating tonight, so he ain't coming back for a few months, I'm sure.
It was impressive to watch Chase Sherman do an infinite amount of slipping and head movement for everything that wasn't a very basic jab, because all he did was get a jab tethered to his face, and then when he was like very far away, do a bunch of rolls. I'm like, what is happening right now? What is going on in this fight? Unbelievable.
It was fun. We needed that one. We actually needed that fight at that moment because that was after the.
It was way more
Zahabi
fun than it
Tercios
had any
fight.
right to be.
Yeah.
What happened?
Shouts. Can we talk about Ricky Tercios for just a moment?
Yeah, let's go for it.
This is not a hot take. This is I truly believe this. If you attempt in any capacity 200 strikes and land 20 of them, you should be cut. Corollary to my previously established rule, where if you attempt 15 takedowns or whatever the number I set and succeed in 0 of them, you just immediately lose the fight. That is, I feel the same with Ricky Tercios' weird Kia. We're just going to call it a Kia, even though it's not it, and just never hitting anything close to hitting. You should leave the organization until you learn how to fight, because that was awful. It was awful.
Yeah, not a great.
If RDA didn't get that one takedown, he was going to be like 1-4 something, 1-4 like at least.
I wonder what his numbers were, because a lot of it. I mean, he definitely got stuffed on some takedowns, but after the first round, it felt like he mostly just went to clinches because he was trying to do the clinch thing. Yeah. He wasn't like in on a single leg or whatever.
I understand. Yeah.
Yeah.
He ended up with
he was happening in.
He was 2 of 16 on takedowns.
And that one takedown was not a takedown.
I can't believe they gave him that first
one. That was not. There was one great takedown. That one they counted was not a takedown. That was even DC was like no, wherever he was watching.
We're going for Vieira. That's what the fight I was thinking of for the takedowns. That fight was awful.
Chris Curtis.
I think we're good.
To answer my own question over some other fighters who have started 0-2 to the UFC career that went on to have a good career. Miesha Tate started 0-2. Ronda Rousey and Kat. And then
that tracks.
So comparable. Both ended up being champions in the UFC.
Very different 0-2.
Yeah, started off a title fight. Yeah.
Misha's
Tate
first
already
fight
established-
Misha Tate's first fight wasn't a title fight. It was against Cat in the co-main event of a
Oh, it was
tough
against
finale.
Cat. Cat was the
Yeah.
first.
Cat
but-
lost. That was a contender fight, but Cat blew her knee
Yeah.
out, and then Misha filled
Kane
in
couldn't do it.
on tough.
But Misha, they are a little different. Misha was just an established fighter who had already been champion before, whereas RDA was. Dude, I didn't think RDA was ever gonna. I'd written him off as a champion. It's like this dude's whatever, and then suddenly he was fighting for the belt very randomly and won it, and then moved up to welterweight and beat the hell out of some really good welterweights. Great career.
Ooh. So Fiziev at the post-fight presser had a call out, and not Nadal. It was Justin Gaethje. He actually called for Justin.
Yeah.
So there you
Yeah,
go.
that fight
A
rule.
lot
I don't know
of
if
people
Gaethje will
don't
take
wanna-
it.
I
A
love
lot
that
of people
fight.
are calling out Justin Gaethje.
That fight would rule.
Yeah, I love that fight. Gaethje's about to get surgery on his nose, I believe, so he's going to be out. He's hoping to get back by the end of the year. I think the timing would actually line up pretty nicely for those two guys to fight. So yeah, I love that idea. I don't know if it happens, but I love that idea.
Gaethje's got to find somebody. Can't
Yeah.
have a better person outside of Conor.
I would say Conor is the actual correct Gaethje. If I can pick one
I know
fight
we've been wanting that
to
fight
make it
forever. We've been wanting the Conor Gaethje fight forever.
It's the most exciting fight in MMA history on paper. Like I don't think there's even a close second. If you put that on paper, that is. If I can make one fight,
Conor
like,
versus
if I had
Justin?
that
Yeah,
on paper, it's the most exciting fight in MMA
I was.
history.
Yeah, I've been wishing for that fight for a long time, but
Both dudes get performance bonuses in literally every fight out, and just the way they match up, and the way they'll talk shit. It's just if I could make a wish, one fight, that's it. It's been that way. That's been the one fight I've wanted for 10 years. However
and it's
the
a
hell
fight
long
I
it's been
wish
since
like,
Gaethje.
in the contract it's best 2 out of 3 too. Like, it
I
has to be
don't
best.
know. I don't wish any
I don't-
person to fight Justin Gaethje multiple times.
Yeah,
because
I
that
was gonna
changes your
say-
life.
That seems like a fight where the loser gets a 6-month medical suspension. So like that,
Oh,
I'm not
yeah.
waiting. I'm not waiting 2 years to watch a winner fight twice.
We have it on an international barge in open waters.
Yeah.
Pride.
I love
rules.
it. That fight's great.
Then it can be pride rules. 10-minute first round.
God bless him.
Dude, I honestly don't think that fight gets out of the first round anyway.
No way.
Those two
Oh,
dudes
yeah,
are
for
just
sure it does.
they're just gonna mash until one of them falls over. Be the best.
Yeah, the two ultimate get got guys, and yeah, that fight would just be absolutely spectacular. So
I will be in attendance should that fight ever happen. I don't care where they put it on the moon. I'm going to that thing.
if they book that fight somewhere on the same day as a KSW card, and MMA fighting
Don't
would
care.
send you to KSW. Oh,
No.
okay. All right.
I'll
Wow.
buy my
All
own
right.
ticket to KSW later. I'm going to Conor Gaethje if that ever happens.
I was curious. All right, there you go. Well, we're done. You hear the music, so we're out of here. So AK and I will be back doing some more matchmaking tomorrow on to the next one. And then it's on to UFC Long Island, everybody. So for Jed, for Casey, for Jose,
Or is it
I am Mike Heck.
into UFC Long Island? Like
God bless Alex Verdugo. We're out.
I
Yes.
love you guys.
Dugo. Doogie.
Love you all.
Way to be, baby. Clutch, dude.
I miss you, Mookie.
Good night, everybody.
Why is this poster so spooky?